A cannon fires, smoke explodes over restless water. Sailors scream orders as a wooden ship cuts through waves toward lands no European crown has ever ruled. On the deck, a captain whispers, "If we don't claim it, someone else will." That hunger, that fear, that ambition is where this story truly begins. Europe in the 1400s is tense. Kingdoms are competing, trading, watching each other carefully. Spices from Asia are worth fortunes. Gold is scarce. Power is fragile. And one small nation decides it will not stay small. In the early 15th century, Portugal begins sending ships farther down the west coast of Africa than anyone before. Backed by Prince Henry the Navigator, captains are given a simple but dangerous command. Go beyond the edge. Map what we don't know. At first, it sounds like exploration, but it's calculation. They establish trading posts along Africa's coast. Gold flows back. Access expands. In 1488, Bartolomeu Dias rounds the Cape of Good Hope. A decade later, Vasco da Gama reaches India by sea. The sea route works. Portugal bypasses traditional trade networks controlled by others. Wealth begins shifting. A royal advisor murmurs, "We don't just trade there, we stay there." And that is the turning point. Trade posts slowly become fortified positions. Forts become permanent bases. Influence becomes control. If this already challenges what you thought you knew, pause and hit subscribe because this story escalates fast. In 1492, under the flag of Spain, Christopher Columbus sails west searching for Asia. He lands in the Caribbean instead. At first, confusion. Then reports of land, resources, opportunity. Soon after, conquistadors arrive. Gold is demanded. Empires like the Aztec and Inca collapse under steel weapons and foreign diseases. Silver mines fuel Spain's treasury. A soldier writes home, "There is more wealth here than we imagined." The shift is complete. Colonialism is no longer about exploration. It is about ownership. Land claimed in the name of distant monarchs. Indigenous populations forced into labor systems. Resources shipped across oceans to enrich European capitals. Portugal may have started systematic overseas expansion, but Spain turns conquest into a vast imperial machine. And Europe is watching. In royal courts, whispers grow louder. If Spain controls this much wealth, what happens to us? Fear fuels competition. By the 1600s, England establishes colonies in North America and the Caribbean. France builds territories in Canada and parts of Africa. Netherlands creates a powerful trading empire in Asia. Ports become settlements. Settlements become colonies. Colonies become economic engines. The motivation intensifies during the Industrial Revolution. Factories demand cotton, rubber, sugar, minerals. Colonies provide raw materials cheaply. Markets overseas buy manufactured goods. A British official argues, "Without colonies, we fall behind." It becomes a race for survival disguised as expansion. Religion adds another layer. Missionaries travel alongside merchants and soldiers. Some believe they are bringing faith and civilization. Others know empire walks behind the cross. Kathy's voice, though unseen in the outline, echoes as a narrative presence. She questions, was it greed? Was it fear? Or was it simply power? The answer is uncomfortable. It was all three. The story escalates again in the 19th century. European powers gather at the Berlin Conference of 1884. Maps of Africa are laid across tables. Borders are drawn with rulers. No European war over Africa, one leader insists, so they divide it on paper. Communities are split. Rival groups are forced into single colonies. No consent, no consultation. This moment, often called the Scramble for Africa, accelerates control dramatically. Colonialism reshapes the globe. European languages spread across continents. Economic systems are redirected to benefit foreign capitals. Infrastructure like railways is built, but often to move resources outward, not to develop local economies. The Atlantic slave trade, already active, expands under colonial systems. Millions are forcibly transported. Generations are displaced. The emotional weight deepens. Resistance rises everywhere. Indigenous rebellions in the Americas, African kingdoms fighting invasion, Asian uprisings challenging European rule. Colonialism is not uncontested. It is violent. It is resisted. It is defended fiercely by those profiting from it. If you're still here, comment below. Do you believe colonialism was inevitable once maritime technology advanced? Or could history have unfolded differently? Because here is the critical truth. Portugal ignited the era of structured overseas expansion. Spain transformed it into massive territorial conquest. England, France, and the Netherlands expanded it into a global system. There is no single villain. There is a chain reaction. Ambition sparked it. Rivalry spread it. Industry intensified it. By the 20th century, independence movements surge. Colonies demand self-rule. Empires begin to collapse after world wars weaken European powers. But the map shaped by colonialism remains. Modern borders, lingering economic disparities, cultural blending and cultural trauma intertwined. The final image returns to that first ship. A captain staring at an unknown horizon. Began as a quest for spices and trade routes became centuries of domination and resistance. The narrator's voice grows steady. Colonialism didn't start overnight. It grew from curiosity into control, from trade into empire. And then the final challenge. If Portugal lit the first flame and Spain fanned it into conquest, who truly started colonialism? Or was it human ambition itself? If this story opened your eyes, hit the like button right now. Share it with someone who thinks colonialism was simple, and subscribe for more deep historical stories that reveal how the past still shapes our present. Because the ships may have stopped sailing under imperial flags, but their wake still shapes the world today. But the story refuses to end quietly, because long after the ships stopped arriving in waves, the consequences kept unfolding. In villages across Africa, elders would later point to borders on maps and say, "We did not draw this." Lines created during negotiations in distant European rooms forced rival communities into single nations and split united cultures apart. The tension did not disappear when colonial flags came down. In many places, it intensified. In India, protests grew louder under British rule. "We can govern ourselves," leaders argued. In parts of Africa, resistance movements formed in forests and cities. In the Caribbean, intellectuals began challenging the very idea of empire. Colonial rule was no longer seen as unstoppable. It was questioned, confronted, fought. After World War I, and especially after World War II, European powers were weakened, economically drained, militarily exhausted. Colonies saw an opportunity. Now, a young activist whispers to his friend in a crowded meeting hall, if not now, when? The 20th century becomes the era of decolonization. Nations across Asia and Africa push for independence. Some transitions are negotiated, others are violent and costly. But the tide turns, empires shrink, flags change, new national anthems rise. And yet, here is the emotional twist, independence does not erase the past. Economies built around exporting raw materials struggle to diversify. Borders drawn without regard for ethnic realities contribute to internal conflict. Languages imposed during colonial rule remain official in many countries. Colonialism ends formally, but its fingerprints remain everywhere. Kathy's narrative presence returns with a reflective tone. "So, who started colonialism?" she asks again. Portugal launched the first wave of systematic overseas expansion in the 15th century. Spain accelerated conquest in the Americas. England, France, and the Netherlands expanded the model into a worldwide system. But beneath the names of countries lies something deeper: ambition, fear of being left behind, desire for wealth, belief in superiority, competition that refused to slow down. The outline reaches its emotional peak by reminding viewers that colonialism was not just policy, it was personal. It shaped families, languages, religions, economies, and identities. It created global connections and global inequalities at the same time. A descendant of colonized people might say, "Our history did not begin with colonization." A descendant of colonizers might say, "We were taught it was exploration." Two narratives, one shared past. The camera metaphorically returns to that first ship leaving port. The wind still howls. The captain still believes he is securing glory for his nation. He cannot see centuries ahead. He cannot see borders drawn in Berlin. He cannot see independence movements marching. He cannot see debates happening today about reparations, identity, and historical memory. But we can. And that is why this story matters. Colonialism did not begin as a single dramatic declaration. It evolved from exploration to trade, from trade to control, from control to empire. Portugal struck the first organized blow into overseas expansion. Spain transformed it into massive territorial conquest. Other European powers ensured it became global. But perhaps the deeper origin lies in a timeless human impulse, the desire to expand power when opportunity appears. The narrator slows down for the final moment. If one nation had chosen restraint, would another have stepped forward? If technology had advanced but ambition had not, would colonialism have happened the same way? There are no easy answers, only lessons, and those lessons still echo in modern politics, global economics, and cultural identity. If this journey through colonial history changed your perspective, don't just watch silently. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Who do you believe truly started colonialism, and why? Let's have a respectful but honest conversation. Hit the like button if you want more deep historical breakdowns like this. Share this video with someone who thinks colonialism was just about discovery, and subscribe for more stories that uncover how the past continues to shape our present. Because history is not buried, it is breathing, and the wake of those first ships is still visible on the world map today.